Hello, everybody. Welcome to Charlesonian News Network. Today, I'm interviewing Luke Prod, 1861, a longtime member here, 3 years actually, isn't it?
Yeah.
This interview is being conducted the night before the big battle where we test out our new battle system and all that cool fun stuff. And Luke is one of the main leading forces behind this battle.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just wanted to get your opinions and such to the interview. First, why don't you introduce yourself to the people watching?
I am Luke Prod, 1861, formerly known as Fane Drafted 52. I'm the leader.
If you want to ask questions, it's probably best like look my direction because
I'm the leader of Lopad. Lopad is a long-running faction. It's been around for about 3 years. And yeah.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Well, I thought I should also add that Luke has been involved in most, if not all, of the wars that have occurred on this server since he joined.
Yeah.
In fact, he can be considered the father of factionalism, almost. He had the first real opposing faction to the what was the Season 7's replacement of the Republic in Charlesonia. And he stood to it. And look at him now. Back then, he started as what would we call now a spagger from nothing, and now he is the largest faction owner on the server. You know, me and Luke butted heads a lot over the years, but now to see him come to this point, I'm very proud of him. Honestly, it's something that I didn't see coming.
Yeah.
And speaking about the old system of combat, you were actually at the first battles where we actually tested that back in Season 7. And I guess the comparison really comes with what was it like going into this thing we've never done before, just testing the original system. What was different the first time it was used as opposed to the last?
What do you mean the original system? Like the
Stylon up until the naval battle.
The Stylon system, I'll look at Pro. The thing with that was, it was very flawed, because you would be forced to bring your people to the specific point, and if your players weren't as good at PvP, or if you had not as many players at the other side, then it was pretty much certain that you would lose. And that was just because there's nothing you could do. You had to fight there and you couldn't go anywhere else without losing. Now, this new system, it opens up tons of possibilities. You can afford tactical losses. You can give up land so you can unite your troops more. You can do all sorts of... It's limitless possibilities now. And even if you have less people and you have worse players in terms of PvP, that doesn't matter, because what matters is just how you play your cards.
It's like a game of chess now.
Yeah. That's what I like about it.
Yeah. And this system really, it was based off of the second Spawn War, if you recall. I know that sort of that era was kind of, it's foggy for you now.
Yeah.
But how was that conducted? In your opinion, like what can we do to improve upon that?
The second Spawn War?
Yeah.
Well, I think the main issue with the second Spawn War, which you pointed out before, was that it was essentially the original system. Because I remember for the Slovakia battle that we almost had, like, we straight up just scheduled it. We found the place. You told us where to go. And it was just the same thing. And that was the issue with it. We still had not developed a good way to conduct it.
And a lot of that is, I knew that something needed to change. I mean, it had been 2 years. The second Spawn War was 2 years after. Was it?
The first one?
So the second Spawn War, that was 2021, wasn't it?
Yes.
So it was 1 year. It was 1 year after the original, almost exactly 1 year after the original Spawn War. And I kind of understood that there were flaws with the system that we were using. And it wasn't as awesome. Like, back then, I had a big army like you do now. And I liked the idea of, like, having to actively train them to be professional. Like, we did these marches and all this stuff where we were lined, like, in perfect lines, walking from our base to spawn back and forth. And I wanted that to be incorporated into the battles, but I couldn't think of how. And so the system for that war was really just open season. Like, the idea was, and this would have never worked, but like, at chance, a 1 in 1 million chance, you were doing a patrol at the same time we were, randomly, that's when a battle would occur, and it just didn't work. I don't know why it didn't occur to me then to take the idea of scheduling and that and just combining them, which is what we have now, basically. The idea is that there's a dedicated time when the battle takes place, and you just go in the area and you just do whatever you want to. So everyone's on at the same time, but the battles aren't staged almost, you know? And that's, hopefully it works. It'll obviously take a lot of tweaking, like the old system did, but as we have it now, I think it should work out okay.
I think so too. Yeah.
And tell us, you guys made some changes to the actual guidelines I created for this battle in specific. What are some of those changes?
The changes that we made, I had to fight with Fred and Drew on this, but the primary change was that capitals would be on the table. And the reasons I decided that this was necessary, I mean, it doesn't help me at all. Like, I lose players just by doing the system. But I just hate the idea of capitals being artificially protected. And the implications of that. I mean, if I was Drew, I could just go away from my capital and attack some city in Lopad, and no one is at my capital, and we are still not allowed to take it. And I thought that was a huge flaw in the system.
And me and you talked about it. It's a flaw that we can't really think of any way to fix. I mean, we know that the capital needs to be like a big stepping point. It needs to be difficult, but there's nothing we can do to make it more difficult to take. There's nothing anybody could do, especially if you are Mephisto or Glaria and you don't have enough people to spend on, you know, actively defending your capital and to spread out and take places over. It's impossible for them. And it's going to be impossible for most factions for a while.
And it will be difficult. What do they have, like six people?
Lemon City had 8, plus Siglaria.
If he really does have 8, then it may be easier for him, because the invading army,
Which I doubt.
I don't want to reveal too much, but it's not going to be the entire Grand Army of Lopad. Like, it's going to be a lot less than that.
I mean, what's the projected turnout tomorrow? What's the projected turnout tomorrow?
I would say we're going to miss a couple key people. Kerbal and Solo.
Oh.
Yeah, but besides them, I think we can confidently say at least 10 people.
Okay. I mean, if he really does have 8 people, it'll be evenly matched then. I see no reason why Capitals can't be on the table.
Yeah.
And really, like, the reason the battle rules are that, like it says in the thing, they're subject to change upon agreement. Those are set so someone can't be bullied into changing it.
Yeah.
Like, two even sides, there's no reason why the capital can't be taken during the battle. But if it's a significantly smaller force versus a big one, I'd like them to have some sort of protection, so they can't just be bullied into.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think so as well.
I mean, I look back to the Lopad, it's the Peakshire Charlesonia war they had.
Yeah.
But, like, what I mean by bullying is just like pressuring, you know? Rocky was pressured into every move he made during that conflict. And I want to have some sort of protection for them, so they don't have to argue and argue and argue why this is the default. If I don't want to agree to it, I don't have to, you know?
That's a big issue back in the day. I don't know what season it was. It might have been season 11, but when I had first joined, a war with Lopan Charlesonia broke out. I don't know how it occurred, but I remember it happening, and it was slack. And basically, what determined when the battle would happen was how long we could argue in the Discord chat. and that was just how it was.
Yeah, things like, we have to have things set in stone so the arguing doesn't take over.
Yeah.
If they both want to do it, they can agree to it like that, and it's changed for them. But the defaults are necessary, in my opinion.
Yeah, they are.
And that being said, this is a new system. The final question I'm going to ask you about the new system, just as a system, is what changes do you think are necessary right now?
For this new system?
Yeah.
What changes I would recommend is, I'm not sure I have any. I mean, with a lot of these things, it's just seeing how it goes and then tweaking it based off of that.
Yeah. That's the big thing. It's just test, trial and error, really.
Yeah.
So we have to work with. And my final question for you, Luke, before I let you just take the mic, is how do you feel about tomorrow?
I feel very confident about it. I think we have a very grand strategy laid out. I have a lot of trust in my commanders, Jason, Broba, and I think, I'm not going to say we're going to win, but I think if everyone gives it their all, if everything happens as it should, then I don't see any scenario where we lose.
Yeah, that's good. And I'm sorry, I have to backtrack here, but I did tell Fred I would ask you about this. And I hate it because this is backtracking, but in the last battle, the naval battle, they got Fred made a comparison between Zolo and Blue Panda, and a clear parallel between Stylon and the naval battle that just occurred. We don't have a name for it yet, but we will. And that when they were shelling your ship, they killed about everyone, didn't they?
Except for a few that weren't on the boat.
Yeah, I gotta ask, how did you feel in that moment?
I mean, I take responsibility for that. We could have done things to prevent that from happening. First of all, I had no idea, what the blast radius was for cannons. I told everyone, just come hide in the captain's quarters, because I thought that'd be okay. But I was just standing in there, and I just immediately die, or respawn right in there. So I had no idea. What I would have liked to have done is for everyone to get in the hull of the ship. And just wait until they run out of ammo. And if we really wanted, we could make little holes in the front and stick cannons out of them.
Yeah, because they were just blindly shooting pretty much.
Yeah.
What I meant was, did you feel like it was over? Did you feel like there was no hope?
Did
you feel like they had won when that happened? Like, did your heart like sink?
What I thought was, prior to that happening, I was thinking like, yeah, we have this in the bag. This is gonna be easy.
Mm-hmm.
And after that had happened, I realized like, oh shoot, we gotta, get together and because as I said, prior to that, I thought it would just be like the trench battle. Like I had no idea, because like 30 minutes before it, the only Miss Sweden that was on, if that's how you say it was Drew. and he was asking, he was like telling us, can we please reschedule the battle? So that put like the image in my mind, like, okay, they're super unprepared, they don't have a lot of people. So I was not expecting that to happen.
Yeah, and he made that comparison to Stylon, and it couldn't be more accurate. I mean, I felt the exact same way, especially after Fort Dave. I thought that going into Stylon, it was going to be a breeze.
Mm-hmm.
And then you came in, I died, just about everyone else died, and then Panda comes in and saves the day. A guy that I didn't even expect to be this PvP master, kind of like you, with Zolo and Brober. Obviously, he ended up taking out Drew outside of the battle area, which is really cool. But that it's almost poetic. Stylon, I consider it to be the first time that the old battle system was put into effect successfully, and then possibly the last time that it's being used as the main combat type. The exact same thing happens to you. The roles reversed.
Yeah.
2 years later. No.
Yeah, I mean,
3
huh?
3 years. 3 years later.
Yeah, 3 years. I mean, that's crazy, as you point out. I mean, yeah, like,
it's crazy how things repeat themselves in subtle ways. It happens a lot, and this is just one of them. And it really shows that your position as the top world power right now is very, what's the word? Similar to how mine was, And I feel like eventually you're gonna have to deal with more of the things that I did, not just the expectations being completely turned on their head mid-battle, but a lot of the stuff to come. I'm sure it's gonna be really difficult, but I believe you have it under control. So, is there anything you'd like to say to people watching?
Yeah. If anyone watching is interested in this, they think it's cool. It's easy to join. Like, as has been pointed out before, I was just a spagger when I joined, and you can progress through the server and like rise up through the hierarchies and all the different things within the server. And it's possible for even new players. You don't have to have been here a while. Yeah.
He really is an inspirational story on the server, honestly. But with that, why don't you get up and give a little salute with me here?
Okay.
With that, good night. Stay safe.